Three, two, one, welcome back. So we have a question for you today, dear podcast listeners, is can you succeed without buying leads? And what we're going to be doing is really drilling down on the facts about lead generation and really what you might want to consider or reconsider when it comes to your lead generation plan. But before we do, I want to remind all of you that you can get the notes from today's podcast at harrisrealestatedaily.com. You've got to subscribe. It costs you nothing. It takes probably about 15 seconds to do it. So if you're not a subscriber to harrisrealestatedaily.com, you definitely want to do that to get today's notes. Today's notes are more in-depth than the normal notes. We're getting a lot of facts and we're giving a lot of statistics. And this would be very powerful information for you to have the notes, for you to learn from the notes, but also for you to share with other people. So if you're a team leader or you're a broker or you're an office manager, or frankly, even if you're just creating content for in the real estate industry, and dare I say, just the general entrepreneurial industry, this information is really going to be powerful. We spent a lot of time researching all of this, and I know it's going to be very powerful for you to have these notes. So definitely go to harrisrealestatedaily.com and subscribe. Now remember, when you put your email address, that's all you need to do, into the box on the main page for Harris Real Estate Daily. You do need to pop over to your email and confirm that you want the subscription, and then you'll start getting every single newsletter, which comes out every single day, along with some unique content for our subscribers. So go ahead and do that.
All right, so can you succeed without buying leads? Today we're going to talk about how and why you should maximize your income with repeat and referral business instead of going broke buying leads. Most of you know, and if you don't, you will by the end of today's podcast, that in real estate, relationships matter more than any marketing campaign ever will. Studies show that 82% of real estate transactions come from referrals, repeat clients, or trusted recommendations. That's a stat that came from National Association of Realtors. Despite agents collectively spending, depending on the year, between $4.2 billion and $16.2 billion annually, good grief, on advertising and branding, that came from AdAge, referral-based transactions generate 4 times more revenue than advertising and marketing combined, in spite of spending billions and billions, literally. And let me read that again. Referral-based transactions generate 4 times more revenue than advertising and marketing combined.
Well, so here's the essence of it, and that does include referral fees. That's the reason it's 16.2 billion.
Yep.
But really where this goes is, where does business truly come from? And you got to pay attention when we start giving you these facts. What really generated Julie and I to write this podcast was probably about 3 weeks ago. We saw someone was doing, it always happens this time of year. A lot of marketing and advertising companies will beat agents over the head, telling them to build their brand and all these other things. And we do believe that those things do have a place in your business. Advertising and marketing is there to enhance or to reinforce proactive lead generation. So let me just kind of situate your mind so that you can receive this information as we intend. There's 2 ways of lead generating, in essence. There's the passive lead generation, which is buying business, and then there's proactive lead generation, which is essentially earning your business through direct contact with folks. One takes more time than the other. One costs more than the other. One produces a lot more profit than the other, and the other sometimes doesn't ever work. And now I know I just said 4 things. Hopefully you are paying attention, because as we were going through the points that Julie and I wrote for you, I want you to really have your own little, mind meld and ask yourself, are you tired of wasting money trying to buy business, or you want to actually get to the point where you can earn your business? So there's earned business and there's bought business. Both will produce results. One produces a hell of a lot more results consistently with a lot more profit.
That's right. So our point of today's podcast is to help you understand why and to create a plan. At the end, they're going to have some homework what to do about all this.
Right. And if you have to choose at the end of the day what you're going to do, whether you're going to be a proactive lead generator, or AKA earning the business, or you're going to be a passive lead generator, AKA buying the business, you're going to have to make a decision where you want to put your best efforts. And if your goal is to, frankly, make more money and help more people, and in a lot of ways make your life a lot simpler, you're definitely going to want to lean into being a proactive lead generator. And I think after we share these points with you, you're going to clearly understand why. And if you choose to do the passive lead generation or buying the business, you can do it, but don't do that as your main source of business. Do it to supplement or reinforce your proactive lead generation. Again, some of this might sound obtuse to you, but if you listen to the entire podcast, it'll become crystal clear which path you should follow.
That's right. And at least you'll be well informed for making good decisions instead of just, waiting and seeing how it goes, right? Okay, so 10 steps to build a referral-driven real estate business. We've got stats and facts in here. Number 1 is understand why referrals dominate. 82% of transactions come from referrals or repeat clients. Again, that's from NAR. Clients trust recommendations from friends, family, and past experiences more than they trust any kind of advertising.
So let's not blaze over that first point because it's really important. And I want you to think about what Julie just said. 82% of all business comes from proactive lead generation. 82% of all business comes from centers of influence and past clients. That means less than 20% comes from all the passive lead generation, all the lead buying, all the places you guys buy referrals from, all the other stuff. So you have a choice. You can you already know, based on what we just told you, that 82% of all transactions are going to come from centers of influence, past clients, earned business. And only 18% of the business is going to come from basically buying the business, the marketing, the branding. And yet, if you're in real estate today, what are you being told more than anything to be focusing on? It's the bought business. It's the lead generation. It's the marketing. Why? Because the marketing and the lead generation companies are constantly telling you that. Well, statistically, we know that 82% of the business is going to come from essentially
repeat and
referral, centers of influence type work, which doesn't require a lot of marketing and branding, if any at all, doesn't require a lot of lead buying, if any at all. It requires no lead buying, and there's no referral fees. So the companies that want you to believe that what they have for sale obviously the companies want you to believe what they have for sale, the marketing, the branding stuff, is necessary in your business because that's how they make your money. That's how they make money, the billions of dollars they make every year. But if they actually said to you the truth, as we are now, because Julie and I are not in the marketing and branding business primarily, we're a coaching and training company. If we told you the truth, which we just did, that effectively 90% of all business doesn't come from the passive lead generation stuff, well, then obviously those guys are not going to want to tell you that message because then you won't spend money with them. So you need to make a business decision based on, frankly, what you want your future in the real estate industry to be like.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, those companies make money whether you're making money or not,
Well, they're making money when you spend money on advertising and marketing, especially branding. You're paying their bill whether you're getting closed transactions from it or not. And it should be common sense, but I realize common sense isn't that common anymore. So if you're not actually closing a transaction from money you spent in like 90 days or less. So if you're being told to take out this marketing and branding or billboard or whatever it is, and you're this is gonna cost you this amount of money, and it's gonna, this is where the whole thing, right? You're getting the whole campaign laid out in front of you. You need to ask them, from this, how many closed transactions will I have in the next 90 days or less? They're not going to be able to give you an answer. So give them a break. Okay, next 6 months or less, no answer. Next 12 months, next 10 years, no answer. Because advertising, marketing, and branding cannot give you consistent, or rather cannot give you a 100%, this is what the results are going to be. That's the thing that you have got to use intuitively as your barometer as to whether or not you should, frankly, be putting too much trust in spending money on passive lead generation. Whereas actually having meaningful conversations with decision-making adults about buying or selling real estate on a regular basis, we know that 90% of the folks that choose an agent and ultimately do a transaction, that's how they go about generating the lead. That's how the consumers go about finding the agent they're going to work with. Why don't you spend your money, which is your time? Why don't you spend your energy? Why don't you spend your focus on doing what we already know works 90% of the time?
Well, that's right. I mean, I think some of them might not look at that as an investment in the same way that people they say things like you have to spend money to make money, and they look at, I'm investing in my business, someday it'll work out. Think about your time and your skill as a more important investment, evident by point number 2. Earn and maintain client loyalty. 88% of buyers and 84% of sellers say that they would work with their agent again or recommend them to others, again from NAR. Here's a question. How many of your past clients did you speak with last week? Because that stat from NAR only works when you're in communication with them. Would your past clients and people in your sphere recommend you? Or, if I called them today, are they unsure if you're still in the real estate business? Deliver exceptional service to turn every transaction into a referral opportunity. And exceptional service does include exceptional communication.
Now, I've heard somebody, a air quoting coach on YouTube in particular, saying that telling new agents to work centers of influence of past clients is terrible advice because, after all their friends and their family members know that they're new agents, so why would somebody use a new agent? Those types of things are what people say. And that's absolutely 100% terrible advice, because the reality of it is that your friends and family and loved ones, because you're a new agent, for those of you who are listening who are new agents, will want to do a business with you because they know, love, and trust you already. And because even though you haven't done any transactions yet, they're assuming that you're under the wing of a broker or a mentor or a coach. So they know you're not, flying without a co-pilot. They're going to want to do business with you because they know you. And this is something else that's not in these notes. Most consumers work with the first agent that they meet with, as in person. So I'm going to say that again. Most consumers work with the first agent that they meet. So, again, think about how that doesn't have anything to do with previous transactions, the amount of time you've been in the business. If they meet you, say, for example, in an open house, chances are they're going to be loyal to you because they're the first agent, assuming you're the first agent that they met with.
And assuming that you do a good job following up and you ask them good questions and all of the things, right? Okay, so don't just take it from us. Take it from point number 3, knowing your numbers. Referral-based transactions accounted for $72 billion in U.S. real estate commissions in 2023, compared with just $16 billion from advertising. That's, again, a NAR statistic. So obviously, focusing on relationships yields higher revenue and lower costs. It's just a business decision.
And I had to use 2 different AIs to figure out basically that statistic. And I had to do all the math backwards from NAR. But that's such an important statistic. Again, this is something the marketing and branding and advertising companies won't ever tell you.
Ever.
So $72 billion in real estate commissions came from things other than marketing and advertising and branding, right? I just want you to think about that.
Compared to $16 billion that did 72 versus 16.
But here, and I think I got into this in these notes, Julie, but if you actually, so assuming most of that centers of influence in past client business, the $72.3 billion in real estate commissions, assuming that most, if not all of it, did not have a referral fee attached to it.
Right.
So just think about how much more profitable that is compared to $15.9 billion that came from advertising. And advertising is also, for the sake of this presentation, is also going to be, paying referral fees and whatnot.
Sure.
So you're looking at an enormous difference in essentially the net income of agents that are earning their business opposed to trying to buy their business.
Yeah, exactly. As a business decision, that's why we use stats and facts. We call this going facting so that you'll have some things backing up what we're saying. Number 4, you can use social media to stay top of mind. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn do help to reinforce your visibility and maintain your relationships with your past clients, but should be viewed as something other than a lead generation source by themselves. It's an enhancement, not a spoke. So you can use social media to share success stories, engage with followers, remind clients of your value, but support your real life conversations and handwritten cards with details you learn from social media.
So social media absolutely is powerful for reinforcing your offline work.
Exactly.
And what a lot of agents are led to believe, and a lot of agents who are struggling right now because they've been believing this and trying to make this, essentially this myth work, is that they can essentially buy all their business and they can fake. Like, for example, if there wasn't so long ago that your reputation is what earned you the business. And nowadays, so you had to earn a reputation. You had to earn it through, being a good member of your community, maybe doing past real estate transactions. You have to earn the trust of other people before they'd want to do business with you. So isn't that the way, life still works? It does. But the marketing, the branding people want you to believe that you can buy your influence and your reputation. So they've conflated the word influence with reputation. In other words, you don't need to work to build your reputation in this new world of marketing, advertising, and branding. You don't actually have to put in the time and the effort. You can actually just sort of fake it by essentially making yourself appear successful in social and the rest of it. That's the big myth that's being told to agents. And guess what? Consumers have woken up to that. You have woken up to that. You know that's not true. And if you don't believe me, just look at the pure amount, the statistics and the numbers that we're giving you. So if you have to choose where you're going to be spending your money and your time, and let's just say, money in the case of mailing out thank you cards, or maybe you're going to do some holiday events for your centers of influence and past clients. We're going to talk about those ideas in a second. So if you have to choose where to spend your money and your time and your life's energies, definitely do it where the probability of you actually generating a transaction and making more money is, what would it be? 5-6x higher.
Exactly. So speaking of statistics, number 5, invest in relationships, not just advertising. Why? Well, while digital ads can support your brand, your reputation, as you said, they accounted for only 18% of total commissions. Again, digital ads like Facebook ads, etc., accounted for only 18% of total commissions. Relationship building delivers higher returns and longer-term benefits. At the end of our podcast, we're going to give you action steps to help you to nurture those relationships.
So if you're an ex-teacher, you just quit teaching last year and you got your real estate license, and you're saying, well, Tim and Julie, I don't have any past clients. Think how many hundreds of people know you
You do have a center of influence.
You
Everyone
have a
does.
huge center of influence. And there's some of the most successful agents will confirm what I'm about to tell you. They got into the business after having been teachers, after having been policemen, after having been, a lot of some of the most successful people used to be like hairstylists and, things like that. Have small businesses where they were essentially forced to have high level interactions with people on a regular basis.
Yep.
Sometimes those folks become the best real estate agents. There's a lot of retired attorneys. There's a lot of everything. So you do have a huge centers of influence and past client, or rather centers of influence, even if you have no past clients. You just need to know how to work them and get past what you think they think about you. So what you need to realize is, even though you might be new in the business, that doesn't mean anything to them because we know statistically they're going to work with the first person they meet. Now, the first person that they meet, if they happen to be you, someone they know from your previous life of being a fantastic member of their community, and you were a local school teacher, all the rest of it, they're going to do business with you. Because you're already past the first hurdle with them. They already know, love, and trust you.
That's right.
You guys
focus
get
on
it?
that. I think the more new agents focus on the fact that they're new, the longer they stay new and not have transactions, right? You're focusing on the wrong thing.
So that's one end of the spectrum of people listening. And then the other end of the spectrum are people that have been in the business for a long time that don't have centers of influence and past clients list and have never worked them. Because maybe you've been buying all your business, or just maybe you've been a really good over-the-phone prospector and you've never really wanted to work your centers of influence and past clients. And now you think it's too late. Well, I got great news for you. Your centers of influence and your past clients have not been waiting around keeping tabs of how frequently or infrequently you've been communicating with them.
True.
So if you start doing the work now as if you'd always been doing it, you'll be shocked how many leads and deals you can get from your past clients. Hundreds in some cases, depending on how many, obviously how many past clients you've done. Many of you, if you've been in the business for 5 or 6 years, let's say you've done 50 or 60, or maybe you've done 100 deals, whatever your number is, many of you could actually easily sell the number of homes you need to every single year without ever spending a cent on referral fees, marketing or branding, just by learning how to work your centers of influence and past clients at a high level. How do I know that? The statistics that we just told you tell me that.
Yeah, that's right. As you were talking, I was really thinking about one of our great coaching clients and brokers in Canada, John Walkinshaw. One of the things that he does, and he gets so much repeat and referral, it's probably like 80% of his business is from that source. Meaning he did not buy it, he didn't pay referral fees, he didn't speculate on digital stuff. They're, past client center of influence. They refer him business. He's having a Christmas tree farm party coming up, and he uses that event as a reason to be making actual contact, inviting them, and of course using his Ford script to organically talk about real estate. That's one of the reasons why a ton of his business comes this way.
By the way, this is just an overview of the very in-depth system we give you as far as Premier Coaching about obviously building up your center of influence referral source. And if you want to get more, obviously you do. You want to definitely join Premier Coaching. And I got great news for you. You can join Premier Coaching right now for free. Just go to premiercoaching.com. Just go to premiercoaching.com. There's a link below in the show description from today. Or you can text the word Premier to 47372. And when you do, you will get immediate access to the first level of all Premier Coaching, including a daily semi-private coaching call with one of our Harris certified coaches. That's right. Coaching is free for the first 30 days. And I'll tell you right now, one of the best aspects of the first level of Premier Coaching that we give you is the Real Estate Treasure Map, which is your fill-in-the-blank business and life plan. What a perfect time of year to be doing that. So definitely join premiercoaching.com. Just go to premiercoaching.com or text the word Premier to 47372. Do that urgently. It's going to give you wings going into next year.
All right, point number 6, focus on referral efficiency. Referral clients are more likely to close deals quickly and require less nurturing than cold leads do. That's from an article on Real Trends. But spend time building trust and strengthening your network instead of chasing unqualified leads. Repeat and referral clients have fewer objections, like, asking you to chip in and reduce your commission and things like that. They trust you more, and it has less stress than cold leads generated from paid sources who just already don't really trust you in the first place. So remember, repeat and referral clients, if you get to choose, of course you're going to go there.
Talk about that last bit you said. So everyone knows that when you get a lead from, it doesn't matter what major platform that starts with a Z, and you're a bot and you're trying to essentially, what were they doing? They're running an ad for you as a prospective buyer's agent on somebody else's listing. And the first thing that you have to do is overcome the fact that buyer thinks that you're the listing agent. And I know that they've given you guys lots of scripts and fancy things to say to basically try to get the buyer to not ask that question. But don't you feel a little bit swarmy when you get that lead and that that buyer thinks that you're the listing agent and you have to sort of dance around the fact that you're not? I mean,
half the time they lose it right on that conversation.
Exactly. And do you guys like doing business that way?
Yeah.
A little bit of baity and switchy, so you don't have to. And really the idea of buying leads where you're having to then pay 40% of your commission over for that lead, that is not a sustainable business. That person does not have loyalty to you. They have loyalty to the platform that you are then essentially, receiving that lead from. You want to build a long-term business with lots of profit. You're going to have to do the work. And frankly, this is an unbelievably good time of year to be spinning up your jets for the best year ever. So definitely consider joining Premier Coaching. Julie, point number 7, strengthen your online reviews.
That's right. So encourage happy clients to leave reviews on Zillow, Google, Realtor.com, etc. And of course, your own website. You can do that. You can also use that in your pre-listing package in a hard copy. But positive reviews do enhance your credibility, your searchability, and reassure potential referrals.
So if you only want to do one, and I know there's a fair amount of controversy about this, but do Google Business. And I'll tell you why. Because Google Business does the best job of essentially having the experience of leaving a referral and then someone going and reading the review, and then the overall experience of how the page is laid out. It's done most professionally, and some of the other sites aren't so good. So definitely, if you have to consider one, just have a consumer experience. Try to go to like a web browser you don't normally use. Safari, if you're on Apple, maybe go over and use Chrome or something like that. And then I want you to do a search where, again, it's almost like the first time you've used that browser for your name or your town, like New Albany, Ohio, real estate agent, or New Albany, Ohio, Bob Smith, right? And see what comes up. And then you got to realize that most people are going to go about finding, when they've met you, they're going to go and do some homework on you. And then that's probably all they're going to do is to basically look to see where, essentially what's going on with your Instagram or whatever. So on those socials, you definitely want to have something that's going to be posting some very basic, though consistent. So have all the, contact information, have all the pictures, have everything look the same, and look to see on your socials whether or not there's anything there that's not professional. Go and, scroll down the page on Google and do this on ChatGPT too, because a lot of people are just using AI nowadays to do their own searching and bypassing using traditional, like Google. And see if there's anything that you put online maybe like 10 years ago that is definitely going to run people off. Like if you're talking about, if you're being political, if you're being controversial, if you've went and like said some nasty things, maybe you don't even remember doing it, about some restaurant review and you've used your name, people will choose not to do business with you just because you left a nasty review on another business. They just won't like the nastiness and they'll want to avoid you. People are, when they're searching for you online, what they're doing is they're searching for reasons to not do business with you. People are not searching for information on people online, looking for validation. They're looking for ways to essentially decide
Invalidate.
not and invalidate you. So just keep that in mind. So do a nice little audit of your own online presence and think like a consumer. And, ask other people to do it too and see what they find on their browsers. And then definitely build up your social presence on all the normal platforms. Really, you need a Facebook business page. You need Instagram. Instagram and Facebook obviously are the same company. I wouldn't be investing any money in TikTok. TikTok is probably not going to be in the United States for, I would venture a guess. I'd be surprised if it's in the United States 6 months from now because of what's happening with, the new administration and everything. So just those two would probably do it. If you want to have a LinkedIn profile, that's good. If you want to have something over on X, that's probably good as well. That way, when people do searches for you, they're going to find some basic contact information. And then do stay out of the weeds with political stuff. Do stay out of the weeds with anything that's going to trigger people. Just remember, your job is to be of service to other people, and does not matter what their political leanings are.
Very well said, and a good reminder. All right. Point number 8 is a little bit of homework. Leverage holiday events to connect. Attend as many holiday events, meetups, and social gatherings as you can. Use these opportunities to reconnect with past clients and build new relationships. Say yes more than you say no and expand your center of influence or your sphere of influence. Even if that's just trying something out, even if you're only going to have one friend at some party that you don't really feel like going to, the point is to make more connections, expand your center of influence, and get more organic referrals.
Now,
okay.
this is point number 9 is commit to a daily database outreach. And a lot of us have gotten out of the habit of, really communicating with people at a high level consistently. And I was listening to something that was done by a technologist. I don't remember what podcast it was. And they were asking about what effect AI is going to have in the next 12 to 24 months on service industries. And we're in a service industry, real estate's a service industry. And obviously the fear is that somehow AI is going to replace, like, say, real estate agents. And what this guy said was that there will be a confluence of events that's going to create a opportunity for agents or any kind of professional that's in a service industry to delegate offshore virtually all of the tasks necessary for the successful running of their businesses, other than the high-level communication with folks.
Other than, say that again.
Other than. So the one thing that AI will never be able to replace is your ability to have meaningful conversations with other folks. So your reaction from what I just said should be one of two things. It should be rejoiceful because you're not going to be, you're not going to go the way of the dodo bird. By the way, the dodo bird doesn't exist anymore. So, there's that analogy. So you're not going to be extinct. You're going to have a place in the marketplace. People are still going to want to do business with real estate professionals, any service professionals, and all the other things that you've been doing that you thought were important, that you were told were important, marketing, branding, building your CRM, doing all this, building all your systems. AI is going to be able to do all of it. Mark Benninghausen, who owns, what's the big CRM company that's Salesforce?
Salesforce.
Okay, so he is very interesting to listen to if you ever hear him interviewed, because he has the most to lose because of the AI revolution, because it's very possible that AI will be able to completely replace big Salesforce types apps or big CRMs completely and totally. You'll have AI that will essentially be able to function without you even having a subscription to a particular, a learning management system or a CRM. It's just going to do it all for you. You're going to have a little army, maybe 4 or 6 different AIs, each have different functions, and you're going to ask it to design a system where you're going to be able to stay in contact with your centers of influence and past clients, and you're going to the whole thing, all the things that take so many hours and millions of dollars per year, or billions in some cases, all those different non-connected systems that everyone's so used to, shoveling out their credit card numbers for every month. All those systems are going to be very quickly replaced with AI. There's going to be a meaningful number of people that are going to be looking for new jobs, especially in the tech sector. That is called the way it goes. So where should your mind be as I say all of this? You should be rejoiceful, because that means that you can spend less time doing the stuff that doesn't get you paid, frankly. I mean, all that busy work, the working in your business stuff, doesn't get you paid. Working on your business, rather. Yeah, I got it backwards. Now, working in your business is where you're going to get paid. So you need, if you really want to have an unfair advantage in your business and your personal life, really work on your ability to communicate with people. And again, if you're younger and you've grown up with, constantly being behind a keyboard, it's going to be the difference.
It's a handicap.
Well, it is, and they don't. Honestly, I'm trying to be respectful,
sure,
because we've got a Generation Z downstairs, quite literally. Okay, and they don't realize. Well, you guys heard all these studies that happened after COVID, where they were saying the kids that basically were stuck at home doing Zoom classrooms and not ever having, they did like kids having to wear masks when they're around other kids, and they never learned to read kids' faces. It wasn't just a year or 2 years setback that they had, but they're now realizing that it was more like 5 years. So
they're still dealing with it.
They lost like years and years of development because of COVID, essentially, the social distancing and all these other things, right? And that same thing has happened with a whole generation of people who've never really learned how to have meaningful conversations with folks, and they don't realize what a deficit that's going to be for them going forward.
Yes, but it's not too late. It's a good time to practice, and you don't have to be perfect at it, right? So, for example, and that's included in these. So this is our last point. Okay, so commit to daily database outreach. Speak with 5 people per day. That's a real conversation, actual communication.
Voice to voice, not digital.
Or person to person from your database between now and the new year. 5 per day. You can use the Ford script, that stands for Family, Occupation, Recreation, and Dreams, to engage in meaningful conversations and build rapport. Learn how to master that script in Premier Coaching. I think we've done dedicated podcasts about FORD, the Family, Occupation, Recreation, Dreams conversation outline. But the best way to get better at this is to do it in person. When you're getting your hair cut tomorrow, ask how their family is. What are you doing for the holidays for your family? Occupation, obviously they cut hair for a living. They were going to ask you, what do you do for a living? Or maybe they already know, how's real estate? These are easy conversations. It's one of the easiest scripts, but it's one that you need to be practicing. And think about the people. You can start by talking to people you come into contact every day. Instead of the next time you have a commission, having it digitally go through, stop into the bank, talk to your bank manager, talk to the clerk, the teller, talk to the person at the grocery store. Talk to all this.
Here, it's really kind of fascinating if you think, like, how many people, if I were to show, in your community, a whole bunch of randos, your picture, how many of them would recognize you? Oh, I know that person. Oh, maybe they know your name, maybe they don't. Oh, I see that. He comes in the cafe maybe once or twice a week, or that. I think he gets his gas here.
Familiar.
He looks familiar, right? How many people in your community that you come in contact with every single day just sort of could maybe place you in a picture? Then you draw it in. Then how many people would know you? Oh, here's the picture. Oh, that's Bob. So they know your name. Then how many people would say, oh, I know that's Bob. He's a really nice guy, because they've conversed with you. You think about that. So for those of you who do not have meaningful lists of centers of influence, it's because you're not realizing how many people you actually influence, right?
Yeah.
You're not realizing how many people are around you. How many different communities have you lived in your hometown? Have you had kids? If you've got kids, even if they're older, you grew up, they grew up with all, knowing all these different little, different families, how many different teachers,
They
how many
each
different
have their own center of influence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so if you're the couple down the street who your kids grew up with their kids, husband and wife, well, they both have their own centers of influence. You get it? So the more you converse with people and have conversations with people, and the more they like talking with you, because you're going to family occupation, recreation, dreams. You're not going to talk about yourself. You're going to talk about them. You're going to get them talking about themselves. You're going to show sincere interest. We teach you how to do this in Premier Coaching. All of you know how to do it intuitively. You're just out of practice. There's not a real skill when it comes to basically showing interest in other people. You just are so out of habit of talking everyone's in the habit of talking about themselves profusely. If you start asking other people questions about themselves, especially this time of year, they're naturally going to be attracted to you. Again, we teach you to do this in Premier Coaching. But all of those people, in some cases, you have literally hundreds of people. So in Premier Coaching, we've got this memory jogger list. I don't even know how 100 different, 200 different, thing. And you're supposed to go.
List.
Right. It's this great list, and you're supposed to go through, and it's like A through Z of all. Okay. Well, what about the plumber? Oh, he won't remember my name.
It's a center of influence database builder questionnaire.
Right.
Right. So like who's your babysitter? Who is their babysitter's parents? Who's your carpenter? Great place for agents to start, especially agents that have been in business for a while. Look at your contact list of all those service providers that you refer business from your inspections to. You've got painters, you've got carpenters, you've got a sprinkler guy, you've got a roofer. That's your professional center of influence.
Imagine, like, you go to church, you go to synagogue, you go to mosque. All those people know you. They maybe just know you by, because they recognize you, and they maybe don't know your name. Your homework's going to be to go get to know them and make it so they can have remember having a nice conversation with you, those types of things. And we already know that most real estate deals come from those types of relationships, and yet so many of you are just going to flip on your computer, go to your email, and look to see, wait for somebody to try to sell you a lead for 40%. Whereas we just told you that most money and most deals come from doing the work we just told you, and it's fun. And it's no referral fees.
So much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the easiest homework things you guys can do as soon as we send you out into the real estate wilds after you listen to this podcast, who were the past 5 or 10 or some of you 50 transactions this year?
You keep focusing on transactions.
I'm saying go visit the last 10 people that closed with you. Go door knock them and wish them happy holidays.
Oh, for sure.
Okay? Use your Ford script. Practice that. Maybe bring them a Christmas card. Bring them a pie. Do something. Stop making it so hard on yourself.
Yeah, but how about this? Start playing pickleball. Start going to a gym. If you are somebody that's basically super introverted, you just like your favorite person to spend time with is yourself.
You're a hermit.
You go out in the middle of the night so you don't ever have to meet anybody else, Well, you're going to have some issues just being successful in real estate. So maybe, adjust your schedule accordingly. But for the rest of us, just be yourself, doing the things that you already like to do around other people that have that shared interest, and real estate's naturally going to come up in conversation. We have just given you literally the easiest way to go about creating the most transactions that result in the most net profit, that's proven to work, that's 100% validated statistically to essentially be the most viable source of profitable business. again, how many of you are listening? How many of you are going to go from what we just presented to you and say, well, I'm going to go work on my branding campaign?
Well, you're not working on the 82% of transactions that are actually going to happen.
Yeah, and the billions and billions of dollars that aren't going to... So if you still want to do all those things, you got to see what the passive lead generation is to reinforce the proactive lead generation, the earned business. The passive stuff, the bought business, is if you choose to do it, if you caught that, hopefully, it's after you've mastered the art and the science of doing the stuff that we've just described to you today. And hopefully you'll all see that this means that all of you can be very successful in real estate no matter where you are, whether you're a brand new agent or whether you're a seasoned grizzled veteran agent. If you're a seasoned grizzled veteran agent and you've done a bunch of deals, you've been in the business forever, you're saying, oh, I've heard all this before. They're just telling me what I've heard all before. Yeah, but you're not doing it.
Right.
Okay?
You've heard it before because it works.
I know you're not doing it, and you know you're not doing it.
Well, what's the number one thing when we did that top influencers in real estate event and you asked on the panel of seriously successful agents, what would you have done differently?
They all say this.
They all said this. They all say, I would have nurtured my past clients, my center of influence, my database at a higher level faster.
Because it's the easiest business.
They didn't say I was going to shovel more money to the brand that starts with Z.
Do you want to know what the best business is? It's when somebody that you know from, the bakery or from Orange
Church or
Theory or
whatever.
from church or whatever, or your past clients, what they do is they do this. This is how it works. Hey, Bob, this is Steve. I know you from church. Listen, we just decided that we're going to put our house for sale. We're thinking about buying a new home. Why don't you swing by? It's called Come List Me Business.
Which is the best.
There's no referral fees.
No. And also, you probably don't have to compete. And also,
Yep.
they're probably not going to hand you a whole bunch of objections. They're going to probably ask you how fast you can get it on the market.
You should treat at every opportunity as if you're competing, because you
Yes.
might be. Don't go in there assumptively or lazy. You always want to be treating every opportunity professionally. And then, guess what? They're then going to flip other business to you, and you're going to get more leads and ask them, by the way, who do you know who's thinking about buying or selling real estate that should be helping in this market? Follow the system that we prescribe to you in Premier Coaching. If you want to really drill down and increase your business in a meaningful way, just re-listen to today's podcast, join Premier Coaching, follow the system that we've created for you on building your centers of influence and past clients. And remember, there are no shortcuts. And I realize everybody wants a shortcut. Believe me, everybody, including Julie and I, want a shortcut. I want to have the pill that makes it so I never have to go to the gym again, right? Everybody does. But there aren't any. And anytime you find yourself being attracted to somebody or something that's, leading you to believe that there's a shortcut. Oh, you don't have to do the work like Tim and Julie just prescribed. You need to trust your intuition because you already know that they're lying to you. You already know. We don't have to tell you. And yet you want to believe what they're saying is true because it seems so much easier. Okay?
Yeah.
You know what we're telling you is true. So re-listen to today's podcast. Definitely join Premier Coaching if you've not done so. We are going to be doing podcasts all the way up to the week of Thanksgiving.
Yes. I haven't decided right where we're going to stop, but we'll probably do Monday and Tuesday and then give them a break for actual Thanksgiving.
That's right.
And then we'll be back after that.
That's right. Okay, good. So you guys have a fantastic day. We'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.